We're entering a period of fantastic change, which is getting faster all the time. And we have two challenges here. Two challenges, one after the other. The first is to open our minds, start taking responsibility back, and remove this edifice of control and suppression of information, which will allow the full flow of knowledge of who we are to flood into the public arena. Once people start to realize who they really are and the nature of life, then we can go into stage two, which is the incredible consciousness shift that is going to happen, and is happening for many people already, but can happen for everybody if we open up to the knowledge of what's going on. And to do that, the edifice of suppression has to go. And what I see so often in the kind of what we call the New Age movement is they're focusing on the second bit and they're in denial about the first. And the second is not going to happen for many people unless we remove the edifice of suppression, because most people are going to think, what the heck's going on? And they're going to go through this great change in a complete fog of what's happening. Fear, oh my goodness me, what's happening? Two things to do here. One is to start focusing on how the world's controlled, identifying it, removing it. Secondly, then we can concentrate unhindered on the transformation spiritually that is unfolding to the year 2012 and beyond. We have a situation where the idea has been to turn us into left brain prisoners. Even conventional science accepts that the left brain is where we get intellect, logic, physical worldview. Can I touch it, taste it, smell it? Okay, it must exist. In the right brain, you have the bigger picture, the connection with the cosmos. That's where the artist, the inspiration, the creativity comes from. The institutions of education, of science, and all these different areas of information, the media too, they're pumping information of a left brain variety and suppressing this. What we call education works like this. Information is pumped into the left brain, most of it completely rubbish. And what students are asked to do is to hold that information there, and then when they get an exam paper in front of them, to regurgitate that onto the paper. If they remember it and put it there well enough and repeat what they've been told, they pass the exam and progress. If they take that information in the left brain, transfer it to the right and start filtering it and questioning it and saying, well, does it make sense? What do I think about this? And then tell the exam paper, oh, actually, it's a piece of shit, this stuff. Then they don't pass the exam and they don't progress. The education system is completely built to create left brain prisoners who are basically sponges of the official version of life. We can just balance those two sides of the brain, the intellect and the spirit, the mind and the heart, then suddenly we're transformed in terms of our perception of ourselves. What you're looking at there is I call it lower vibrational emotional range. It's the range of frequency that resonates the energy within us to fear, to guilt, to resentment, to lack of self-esteem. And the more that we are manipulated to feel those things, and the more we manipulate each other to feel those things, the more what I call that cesspit vibration of low vibrational emotion gets more and more full and more difficult to get through, and therefore out to the multidimensional state that we can get into as we reconnect with the ocean, with the cosmos. This is why when people start on this spiritual journey, the reason that they start to realize when they start to walk the journey that all hell breaks loose in their life, that structures break down in their life and they think, crikey, if this is spiritual. I remember me, when I started on this route, my life broke down in so many ways. I thought, if this is spirituality, you can stuff it. I don't want to know. Why does this happen to people? Because when you put out your intent, this is what I want to achieve, that intent energy will always draw towards us what we need to achieve that intent. So if we're going to reconnect with the cosmos, then that intent will draw to us the experiences necessary to achieve that. What we need to do to achieve that connection is to clear out that cesspit level of low vibrational emotion. And so we draw into our lives people, experiences, what have you, that make sure that we can no longer do that, that this has to come out and be processed, and we have to clean out all this emotional debris that's disconnecting us from who we really are. If we're prepared to walk this journey, take a step back and realize that it's actually an experience that is going to set us free rather than a really negative, bad thing that is something to do with the fact that we're not good people. Must have been something terrible in a previous life. I hear that all the time. These challenges are to help set us free by cleaning this out. It's important we understand that. And I find that there are so many people in what's called the New Age who are still operating on a fraction of who they are because they're not prepared to do what is necessary and take the challenges. And we all have this stuff within us to remove and process. When you do, that's when you can start talking about freedom. People talk about a soul. For me, what we call soul, the highest expression of ourselves, is pure love. I don't care who you are, what your background is, what you've done. I don't care if you're Henry Kissinger or George Bush or David Rockefeller or the Queen of England or any of these guys that have been manipulating the world and still are. At that level of yourself, you're pure love. Everyone is. But we can become disconnected from that level and manifest in that disconnection anything but pure love. But that's what we all are, all of us. And when we get disconnected, that's when the problems start, and the imbalances start, and the imbalanced behavior starts. When we're born into a physical body, if we maintain that connection with pure love, soul, then we have the eyes and ears information coming in, telling us and giving us a fix about the world around us. And we have the connection with soul, the intuition, which is guiding us from another perspective. We have both. Symbolically, it's like a spaceman on the moon, where you're in that big spacesuit, symbolic of the body, and you've got the eyes and ears information giving you a fix on what's happening around you. But you've also got mission control giving you the big picture guidance. This is what comes next, then do that, and this is what's next on the agenda. Symbolic of intuition. Imagine what would happen if someone came along and cut or dramatically reduced that spaceman's connection to mission control. Suddenly, this is the only information and the vague memory of what should have been happening at this time. And that spaceman's behavior would dramatically change within seconds and minutes compared with what it would have been had mission control stayed in big picture contact. And that symbolically is what happens to us when we come into this world. When we're born, the conditioning starts, the programming starts to disconnect us from mission control, soul. So the eggshells start. We start to be conditioned to see ourselves as either just a physical body or subjected to some god and what have you. The programming gets started from the moment we become conscious. And if we can just break that eggshell and we can express the true nature of who we are and not live someone else's version of what we should be, when the eggshell cracks, we reconnect with mission control. And at that point, we taste freedom. That is the challenge now that we all have and the opportunity we all have. Chinese have a word that means both danger and opportunity. We're at the point now of that choice. Because that's what life is. It's a choice and learning from the consequences of the choice and making different choices and learning from the consequences of them. That's what evolution is. And we're at a point now where we can make incredible leaps as this 26,000-year cycle comes to an end. It's going to be one heck of a challenge. But no matter how challenging it gets, one thing remains constant. We live forever. We are everything, and everything is us. Whatever we're experiencing in this moment, it's just an experience. We live forever. We are genius. We've forgotten we're genius. And that's why a few people run the world. We can think hate, we can think love. We can create a world dominated by hate and fear, or we can create a world dominated by love, compassion. And we all have the opportunity to do that. When we heal ourselves, we heal the world. When we change ourselves, we change the world. When we love ourselves, we love the world. And when we love the world, it manifests in a very different form to the one I've been talking about over these thousands of years of manipulation. Freedom is upon us. Time to grasp it.